What's going on, guys? I told you we were going to be back for an episode 2, and here it is. It's right here. We are running it back. I am your host, Shane Mallory, joined by my co-host,
Ricky DaCosta.
All right, and we got an exciting week this week. We are talking MVPs. We are talking top 5, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. All right, and then we want to break down the picks for the week, and then if we have time, maybe some sleeper / breakout players, both in terms of fantasy and the regular season. Going back to last week, we talked about sponsors. Still working on that, all right? A couple of shout-outs are coming soon. I want to say, though, I had introduced or prefaced in that first episode that wrestling is probably one of the reasons that I got here, my love for sports just in general. So quick shout-out to University of Rutgers Wrestling, starting 197-pounder, John Paz. Figured I'd shout that out because the school year is about to start, all right? He's an All-American, coming back off a little bit of an injury-riddled season last year, but we're looking for big things for him. Maybe we'll get Rutgers involved in the podcast at somewhere down the line.
Hey, listen, we love to show love to talent, right? This is what this show is all about, recognizing superstar athletes on the field, off the field, professionals. We want to make sure we're bringing the best to you, most interesting, and showing love to the people that we can. So that's what we're all about here at Run It Back. So we're excited. Episode 2, like I said, we got a ton to talk about, and we appreciate all the love that you're giving us.
Yeah, and fellas, again, right off the bat, we get in for our little pre-meeting, and we're sitting there looking at big contract news. Bosa re-signs, he ups with the 49ers, okay? So,
$170 million, the highest defensive player ever.
Well-deserved.
Well-deserved. That defense with him is a top 10 defense. Without him, right there, bottom 10. So, at the end of the day, you got to pay that man. He has the production. He's been consistent. He had a couple of injuries, but you know what? When he's on the field, you can't.
He's a difference maker.
He's a difference maker. 100%. He makes that defense go. So really excited, happy for defensive players getting paid. From what I see, only the quarterbacks get paid. So when a defensive player gets a few dollars, you gotta show some love.
Receivers too.
Well, yeah, but what about Chris
You're
Jones?
still upset about this running back. You're still upset about these running backs. It's a business model.
Listen,
it's a business model.
So what do you got to say about Chris Jones? Right?
That's the one.
Made the winning plays in the Super Bowl, and he can't get a few shekels.
So listen, I think that he should be right there with what Bosa just got, okay? But even so, Chiefs have a couple. Listen, I'm not sitting here jumping off the Chiefs. They got a couple of little concerns here because now all of a sudden you have Travis Kelce hyperextending his knee on Tuesday.
Big. That's
I
real
don't
big.
think he's going to play in that opening game on Thursday.
So I disagree.
Okay.
Listen, Travis Kelce, he's a baller. He's going to want to play.
Man, too. Guy never gets hurt.
Never gets hurt. So I don't think he's going to want to give up that streak.
Okay.
So I think he's going to, put on the knee brace, and 60% of Travis Kelce for half of the plays. You know what? Put him in on third down. Put him in on red zone. Out wide, I think he has the ability to do some special things. So if I was Andy Reid and there was no structural damage, that's how I would use him in third down.
Kind of like a decoy / use him when necessary.
As long as he's not blocking, right, then I think you just utilize him 100% from a receiving standpoint. That would be a dead giveaway to the defense that it's a passing play. But you know what? If it's 3rd and 5, guess what? With Patrick Mahomes, you're throwing the ball anyway.
Okay, so listen, interesting perspective. I guess the way I look at it more so is you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You're defending Super Bowl champs. I figure you're opening up Thursday night. You got the crowd behind you. They're going to be hanging up the banner. The Chiefs are going to be juiced up.
Absolutely.
If you can't beat the Lions without maybe somebody like Travis Kelce on the field, and I'm not trying to disrespect the Lions. I think the Lions are coming this year. But I still think the show, the sights, the taking it all in, how the fans are going to be, I think the Chiefs will just rally around that. So even without Kelce on the field, I feel like they could go get it done. So why risk it? You're going for back-to-backs. If you can go win that game without risking Kelce's health, I say why not do it?
Listen, if you remember, Andy Reid is the guy that had Terrell Owens, right? And he had a massive knee injury.
It's true.
And
the ankle.
Played, right?
Yes, the Super Bowl. Yep. He had a broken ankle.
He played in the Super Bowl, but
did.
guess what they did? They ran specific routes, right? So that they could not put too much stress on that ankle. So knowing Andy Reid, he's that type of play caller. He can find probably 20 plays for Travis Kelce to be a difference maker. Okay. Like I said, third down, out wide, even if it's as a decoy. And I think he's going to play.
Okay. So I say why risk it? You say he's going to play. I guess we'll find out. But I mean, we know we're all excited because opening night tomorrow night. Can't wait. I can tell you one thing about that game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, a little bit back and forth.
Oh, 100%.
I think it's going to be entertaining. I got a lot of guys going for fantasy in that game, so I'll be watching with vested interest.
Hey, and Tony will be playing for the Chiefs, right? So I think he could be a difference maker.
Yep.
You know, Sky Moore is going to be in the slot. Watch out for this kid. We talked about sleepers. This kid Rice that they drafted. Rashid Rice.
I like Rashid Rice.
Second or third round, they drafted him. He's a big body, possession guy.
I could be a red zone target.
Exactly. So I think he's going to be
new guy to prepare for too. Like you've looked at the Chiefs last year. Now all of a sudden this is a new guy, new skill set, a wrinkle into the offense. So, gosh, if you're playing defense against the Chiefs, it's just got to be annoying when they get these new weapons that they can somehow integrate into the offense.
Yeah, listen, and Andy Reid can pick talent, right?
He can.
So they're gonna do some good things.
I think the best offensive schemer in the game. So I just can't wait. I can't wait for the game. But we'll get to all our picks on that. All right. We're going to start here with the MVP conversation.
This is interesting.
Okay?
This is interesting.
The MVP conversation.
You want to lead off, or you want me to just drop a bomb?
I defer to you. You are the expert. You are the high-level football player. I am your humble servant.
I think, right, you got to give kudos to Patrick Mahomes. Just amazing player.
He's running it back.
He's running it back.
Okay.
But you know what? Sometimes there is voter fatigue. So I don't think they're going to give it to him this year.
Okay.
He's going to have a great season. But
it's kind of like the LeBron MJ thing where it's just like after they win a couple, people
Well, you know what it is?
Spread the love.
You spread the love, but I think you're going to have 3 breakout guys this year that do some ridiculous things from the quarterback position. And so I think you got to throw them some love. One of them is going to be Joe Burrow. He's going to have a phenomenal season, right? Statistic-wise, team might not do as well, but statistics-wise, he's going to have a great season. Kellen Moore became the OC of the Chargers. And one thing that the Chargers didn't do before him was push the ball downfield.
Which I don't understand why with that cannon he got throwing the ball.
Yep. So I think Justin Herbert is going to have an amazing season. And he's going to be the runner-up to
Jalen Hurts.
Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
Lamar Jackson. He got paid. He's hungry. He's finally gotten wide receivers. Everybody thinks he can't throw. Just watch his college games. Watch last year before he got hurt. Lamar Jackson is hungry. He has the second best record behind Patrick Mahomes in terms of wins.
Great point.
So you know what? I'm on the Lamar train. I think he's going to do some amazing things. He's got the weapons. I think Beckham's going to have a breakout year. I think the defense is going to be solid. Lamar Jackson is my MVP.
Lamar Jackson. Listen, I can't hate it, especially when you take into account, 1, he stays healthy. 2, they're revamping the offense around him. And 3, I would argue that this is probably the best set of weapons that he's ever had in his career around him.
You brought up something important. Health, right?
Sure.
Before, he had to be Superman. He had to do everything.
He did.
Right? Now he doesn't. He still has his security blanket and Mark Andrews.
Sure.
But now he's got Beckham for the red zone.
Yeah.
You know, this kid, Zay Flowers, they say he's got speed.
Sure.
Like, no one can cover him with how shifty he is. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think Bateman is going to be a solid player, right? I think he's like a low-end number 2 wide receiver. But now that the pressure is not going to be on him to be a number 1 guy, I think he's going to step up and shine.
Listen, I don't hate the pick. I cannot argue against it. Unfortunately, I'll just say that you're probably wrong. I'm going to have to go with... Listen, I'm going with my boy. I'm a fantasy team. And listen, all the other guys you listed...
I don't know. I feel like he's going to be a homer.
I think Mahomes is awesome, okay? I think Mahomes will do what Mahomes does. He'll put up his numbers. He'll lead the Kansas City Chiefs to having one of the best offenses in the game. I think Jalen Hurts will also have another very good year. Despite the loss of Steichen, I think that offense is so talented, both on the offensive line, skill positions, weapons. They've got kind of a running back by committee situation again this year, similar to last year. But it won't be him. It'll be my man, Joey Cool Burrow. Joey Cool Burrow, I think he learned something last year.
Okay.
The Bengals were putting up a lot of bulletin board material for the Chiefs, okay? They got the Chiefs up for that championship game. But the Bengals are the team right now that if anybody's got the Chiefs number, it's the Bengals. Now, You're only as good as your last game. They lost their last game to the Chiefs. But they already know they can beat them. He's going to put away the bulletin board material. We're not going to talk. We're going to be silent and violent. That's one of what phrase that our high school coach.
Silent and violent.
Yeah, we're going to stick
good.
to that one. That's an old phrase that my high school coach
Or
used to
shut up
say
and
that
play.
was. Shut up and play, right? But Joey B and the Cincinnati Bengals, okay, who they, all right? They're going to be silent and violent this year. And Joe Burrow is going to be out to take everything that Patrick Mahomes formerly had. He's going to be out to take that MVP. Okay, he's going to be putting up numbers, calling that offense, putting them in the right positions. Watch out for the rookie running back that they drafted too. Chase Brown
Chase
from
Brown.
Illinois. Okay. I like this kid. They're already talking about him being potentially the third down back. I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year it's a little bit of a timeshare.
Let's see if he can block.
Yes, let's see if he can block, sure. Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase, okay? Enough said. He's going to put up numbers. My boy T. Higgins, we talked about this last week, might be a giant in a year from now.
Hey, I'll just say he's a free agent, you know.
He could be a free agent, but until then, I think he stays and does work in this offense, especially with defenses have to sit there every time and go, well, if we double Chase, Higgins going to be one-on-one, and he can pretty much out-jump any D-back that's going to be there.
Got Tyler
Boyd, okay? The other guy who I think will make an impact for them, too, as well, is Herb Smith. They improved that offensive line. I know you talked a little bit about their defense. Again, you're going to take another chapter out of the Chiefs playbook. Be situationally great. Bend but don't break.
Okay.
And I think the Bengals just come out on a revenge tour this year. Joey B wins that MVP, league MVP, okay? They beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, and then he goes out and he gets his first Super Bowl, gets his first Super Bowl MVP, and now we got a real quarterback rivalry in the league.
So you see, the thing is, the Bengals, they have been running it back, right? But you know what? Sometimes you miss your window.
You could.
Right? The Steelers have been young.
Sure.
Right? The Ravens have been hurt.
Sure.
The Browns are just a mess. I think we all can agree on that. Right?
Don't say anything bad about Cleveland, though. Remember, we only got that episode of last time, so.
We'll see. We'll see. But listen, Cleveland can't get right, unfortunately. We'll see if Deshaun makes a difference. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals missed their window. Because now Baltimore is back. The Steelers are strong.
Okay.
Right? They may have some stability at quarterback.
Black and blue division.
So I think they're going to beat up each other.
Okay.
Right? But
right.
it just so happens that B More will come out because Lamar Jackson doesn't have to be Superman, and he's going to be able to light it up.
Sure. All right, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, that's why they play the games. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm glad we have the alert set up on our phones, though, for any other contract news, potentially.
Yes.
But we're going to make sure that we try to focus on our big topics for the day. So we're going to start off with top 5. Now, do you want to go quarterback first?
We can go quarterback.
You want to go quarterback? All right. So we're going to go top 5 quarterback right now. This is a little bit of an introduction set, I guess, to you guys as to how we kind of look at things, what we value, and the criteria. Now, I know that a lot of these ranking systems, Pro Football Focus, just to name one, they really like to base it on the previous season. Me, I was talking to you about this in the pre-production meeting, I'm a body of work guy. Show me numbers of years, show me consistency.
Okay.
So some people might be a little bit surprised with some of my top 5s. I think for the most part they'll align, but again, I'm about body of work. I more or less tried to look at about 3-year sample sizes for all these players to come up with my lists.
Okay.
But we're going to start a top 5 quarterback. I say we work from 5 back down to 1.
Sounds good to me.
Build up the anticipation.
Okay.
I'll let you go first. Who is your number 5?
All right. So that one I could tell you easily. My 5th quarterback, right? Since you're talking about body of work.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Right? 2 out of the last 3 MVPs belong to him, right? And the one thing
where your
that
head's
is
at.
extremely dangerous is Aaron Rodgers on a revenge tour, you know? And he's having fun.
Sure.
He's going to have a top 5 defense behind him.
Sure.
He's got depth at running back. He's got depth at wide receiver.
Sure.
And so Aaron Rodgers is my is my 5th best quarterback. I think the Jets are going to be special. He's just a masterful thrower of the football. And so Aaron Rodgers, number 5 on the list for me.
You know what? People watching right now, this is almost anticlimactic because I, too, have Aaron Rodgers as my number 5.
So let's just let the record show he's agreeing with me and
Here.
my level of genius.
I think we will diverge on the next pick. I'm almost certain of it.
Okay.
But Aaron Rodgers, I don't care what anyone wants to say about last year. He lost Devontae Adams. He was working with a whole new cast of rookie receivers. Obviously, it was a little bit of a challenging year. I don't think it's Aaron Rodgers just fell off a cliff. I think the Packers just went through their growing pains last year. The NFC North, obviously the emergence of the Lions had them thrown off. They beat them in the last game of the season. And the Vikings obviously had a very good year. It's just one of those things where, you know, it added up and it was time for Aaron to leave. You know, he has been more than loyal to that organization. And this is no disrespect to Green Bay because I think it is a great football place. I think those fans are loyal as heck. But the front office leaves a little something to be desired when it comes to the all-time great quarterbacks. And I think Aaron Rodgers decided, you know what, I'm getting older now. You know, let me try and set myself up to where there's more around me so I don't have to necessarily do so much in the biggest games. So I agree. I'm not calling it a drop-off. Like you said, it's the revenge tour. Call it a comeback.
Yep.
You know, I think Aaron Rodgers reaffirms to everybody that why he is a top 5 quarterback.
Okay.
So
Okay. Listen, my number 4 guy, I won't lie, I struggled with this, but I got to put a little respect on his name.
Okay.
I got to put some respect out there to Buffalo. Josh Allen.
He's number 4.
He's my number 4 guy.
Interesting.
He's number 4 specifically because, like I said, I think there's some tension going on in Buffalo.
Okay.
Him and Diggs, you know, are they still boys? Are they just professional? Because sometimes you just go to work and you take care of your business, and that friendship isn't there. But guess what? You know, when that friendship, when that camaraderie is there,
Sure.
all of a sudden it bonds you a little better.
Sure.
Every football player works hard, but guess what? You go a little bit harder for your brother,
Okay.
right? When you know they also have your back. And I'm wondering if Josh and Diggs realize they have each other's back, and if that's not there, like I said, we may see a drop off. But in the meantime, I have to give a lot of respect to Josh Allen. He runs, he throws.
He's so much of that team's offense. Like
A little too much.
You could argue he's the most valuable player relative to his team.
Yes.
In terms of how much they rely on him. I agree with you.
So that's why
Too much.
I have to put that respect on his name and
100%.
give him that position. So hopefully he stays healthy and the Bills have a really good year. But that's my number 4 guy.
Okay. Well, we disagree here.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Josh Allen, for the record, is in my top 5. But
Okay.
he's not at 4.
Okay.
Number 4 for me, be more, baby. Lamar Jackson. And I think that people are going to get excited about, what about his throwing? Guys, you are talking about arguably the greatest running quarterback of all time, bar none. It's almost not debatable. Now, I'm a big Michael Vick guy. Watched him coming out of Virginia Tech.
Same.
Watched him in the pros. Michael Vick was like nothing I had ever seen. And I think the difference is whereas Lamar, the offense was kind of designed for him to run, Michael Vick would just drop back and all of a sudden you would just watch magic. So it's really a preference as to what you liked more. But in terms of the numbers, the statistics, Lamar is, I would say, the greatest running quarterback ever. Now, let's go along with that. This man is an NFL MVP. I feel like people forget that sometimes.
Yeah, unanimous.
Unanimous NFL MVP. I really don't like the disrespect sometimes that falls on his name. I get it. There's something that is left to be desired in the passing game. But when you don't put him in situations to pass often, and then all of a sudden you call these random plays, and yes, sometimes he makes some errant throws and bad decisions. At the end of the day, the man wins games. Look at his career record as a starter. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Ravens, every year that Lamar Jackson has started, I believe they have been a playoff team.
That is
Maybe
true.
other than his rookie.
I think you're right.
I think every season that he's been the starter, they have made the
definitely
playoffs.
if he's finished the season.
Yes.
Definitely.
Now, even
Yes.
last year when he ended up getting hurt the last couple of games, they still set up in a position to go and make the playoffs. And you pointed out the last time how they're a fumble return away, right, from winning that game.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just don't talk to me about his throwing because he's more than demonstrated an aptitude for being able to throw the ball when he's put in successful situations. The man is a dynamic, game-changing player, and he wins games. And that's what the quarterback position is about.
Agreed.
Okay, he is actually the reason why sorry you Eagles fans, and I'm not a hater just because I'm a Giants fan, Jalen Hurts fell just outside of my top 5. Jalen Hurts would have been my number 6.
Okay.
I'm not going to throw some of these younger guys up here. While I like Trevor Lawrence and I love Justin Herbert, love them both, got to show me a little bit more. Okay. Now with Herbert, statistically, he's there. He could be argued in the top 5, and I wouldn't be mad at people. I want to see the next step. I want to see your ability to go and win those big games.
I think that's coaching, though. I think that's coaching.
I don't disagree. I don't
really think
disagree.
That's coaching. So he is my number 6 guy.
Herbert's your 6.
Herbert's my
Herbert's
6.
your 6.
Jalen's got to do it one more time.
I agree.
He's got a great team.
I agree.
He's got to do it one more time.
I agree. Because the year before,
again,
we weren't sure if he was going to be the starting quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there were rumors, could they bring in Russell Wilson or, someone like that?
Sure.
So obviously they made the right decision in keeping him, and I have a lot of respect for Hurts. Reason being is he's a football player that hones in on one or two things each season to come into the season with that he wasn't good at before. So he's a really great guy.
Been reported all over. Fantastic work ethic, a leader.
100%.
All the guys rally around him. Jalen, despite my Eagles hatred, I actually really respect you, dude. Ball out, man. I hope you do have a great season. Just not too great so my Giants can sneak into the playoffs as well.
And listen, I'll throw it out there, right? As a Giants fan, I don't hate the Eagles. I think we all agree we hate the Cowboys, right? I have respect
it's not
for
the
Andy
Eagles.
Reid.
it's more so like some of their fans, and I have them in my own family.
Listen, when you beat up Santa Claus, then you could not like the fans.
Yes,
right.
there you go.
I think that's what it is.
That's a little messed up.
It's the fans, not the
I think you
team.
made a great distinction,
right?
But we can agree on the Cowboys.
Okay, yeah,
I can't stand the Cowboys.
We all hate this. Oh my
Everything
God.
about the Cowboys can't stand.
Oh my God, they haven't had a Super Bowl in 25, 30 years, and they're America's team. Get out of here.
Every year we talk about them. This is the year. This is the year. Yeah, until next year.
Yeah.
So we agreed on Rodgers, 5-5. You went Josh Allen at 4. I went Lamar Jackson. We're back to you. Who's coming in at number 3?
Now listen, right? It's this is where things really start to separate, and I got a lot of respect for him. He's my guy. I'm sure he's higher on your list, but Joe Burrow comes in at number 3. He's a badass. Like, I think any football player, if you ask him, you want this guy on your team, right? He's a gamer.
Okay.
A lot of swag. Ton of swag, right? So he definitely
It's the modern day Joe
galvanize-
Namath.
He is.
That is the
He
modern
is.
day Joe Namath.
I
Fur coats, good looking guy.
Listen,
yeah.
I went to the LSU Clemson game as I was down there in Baton Rouge, and boy, I tell you, man, like that was a badass team, right? So I got so a lot
That
of
offense
respect.
looked like an NFL offense playing against a college team.
It really did.
It was unbelievable how good that LSU offense was.
100%. So
You were there in person?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I went to
That's
that
pretty
championship
cool.
game, first championship game. So like that.
First
was
quarter, it was a decent game, and then second, it just started.
blowout.
Ooh, yeah.
Blowout. Joey Burrow's my guy. I think he's gonna have a great
Jefferson
season.
and Chase were both on that team, right?
Jefferson, Chase, as well as running back from the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards.
Oh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Right,
Wow,
yep. So,
wow.
yeah, it
Look
was
at that
stacked.
team.
It was
Jeez.
stacked. Yeah,
Loaded.
Definitely. So, Joe Burrow, my
Burrow.
number 3 guy. He's gonna have a great season. I hope he stays healthy. But
I'm really curious your number 2 now.
my number 3
I'm
guy.
really curious about your number 2. So my number 3, Josh Allen.
Okay.
All right? Now,
Okay.
you could
Seeming pretty cookie cutter, right? Your
Well,
top
you
three,
can
maybe?
argue. Here's what I'll say. I think there's a lot of people that would put Josh Allen as 2. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's between 2 or 3. My thing with Josh Allen, phenomenal athlete, horse, cannon for an arm, can run, can throw. So much a part of like the Bills' offense and their success. If there's one thing, now again, to your point earlier about sometimes could this just be more coaching? Sometimes Josh Allen has a tendency to try to play a little bit of hero ball, leading to a little bit more turnovers. I think that since he's come into the league, between turnovers and interceptions combined, he's the highest of those like elite quarterbacks. Mahomes, even Hurts, Burrow, he's got more turnovers than all of them combined. Now, how much of that is him just making bad decisions and how much of it is they're just putting so much on his plate and he's trying to do so much in some games that he just makes. But at the end of the day, it matters at the quarterback position.
You
right?
really hit the nail on the head. I think it comes down to coaching. Since Brian
Sure.
Daboll left,
Sure.
he doesn't look like the same guy.
He definitely
Leadership-
looked a little different
right.
last
And
year.
when you
sure.
look at Daniel Jones, interceptions went down.
Yep.
Right. Josh
Yep.
Allen, interceptions went up.
Yep.
Right. So I think again, Bill fans don't come after me. I think they're trending down a little bit.
Yeah,
right.
it
So
does seem to be
let's
a
see
little
if
bit of
they
a-
can make that correction. But that's why he couldn't be in my top 3.
I gotcha. So again, that's where I like though, if they really use their offense the way it's designed and start running the ball more with running backs. A guy like Cook, I think, is a huge breakout player potentially this year. But Josh Allen, you can't deny, if we were going just physical talent at the quarterback position, I think he's number one.
Yeah,
He's got it all. But again, quarterback is a lot of different things, and decision making and turnovers are a huge part. That's why I have him at my number 3. But
okay, all right. Well,
tremendous
listen.
talent.
So for me, you've mentioned this name, Lamar Jackson. He's my number 2.
You have him at 2?
I have him at 2. Like I said, he got injured last year.
Called out B more too early.
Listen, I think he's going to stay healthy all year. I'm really high on the Baltimore bandwagon. I think they're going to have a solid season. I think they're hungry, right? And it speaks to something, right? You brought up the Bengals before. 2 years ago, they were hungry. Last year, they were hungry. Their plate might just be complacent. Full.
Okay.
When you make it to the Super Bowl, you get back to the AFC Championship, you're talking a lot of trash. Your plate is full. You get a little cocky. Right, so
they haven't eaten that. They haven't eaten the main course yet.
But guess what? But you know what? Baltimore is hungry. They're coming, and they have.
They're
weapons.
a sleeper.
I don't think they're a sleeper. I think they're going to be angry. I think they're going to be violent, and I think they're going to take that NFC North. But Lamar Jackson is going to be dangerous. He's going to put up 4,500 plus yards. And I think he's going to win MVP and break a lot of records. So, A.B. Moore, we got Lamar at number 2.
I can't hate the pick. Listen, at least we both had him in our top 5. Because I feel like a lot of top 5s leave him out, and it really does make me... It upsets me a little bit. Because I feel like people are not looking
They're forgetting about him.
The body of work, and guys, game's about winning. The man wins games.
Yep.
That's what he does. Number 2, this should come as no surprise. It's Joey Cool B.
Okay.
Joey Burrow coming in at number 2. And I feel like you can at least respect this. Best pure pocket quarterback in the game right now.
Agreed.
From an analysis, reading the defense, whatnot. I mean, he's Joey Cool B. To me, a lot of resemblances to one of my all-time favorite quarterback, Peyton Manning. Just his ability to see pinpoint accuracy too on his throws, his location, dots. All right. So I'm going with Joey B. Obviously, that's my MVP pick too as well. He's hungry this year. He wants to get on that number.
Listen, I can't really disagree with that. Burrow at number 2. I can't argue about it. My only difference was I think Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens are going to project more with points and scoring.
Okay.
And so that was the difference for me.
I can't be mad at it.
But listen, I think we all can agree. Patrick Mahomes, number 1. He's the man. You got to put the respect on his name. 2 championships in 3 years, right? 5 consecutive AFC championship games. You lose Tyreek Hill, and you just win the Super Bowl. You throw for 5,000 yards.
Like you get better.
So at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, Showtime Mahomes, right? You know, he is the man. Definitely number 1, unanimous. Nobody can argue that.
We agree. Patrick Mahomes, number 1. And all you guys that are out there challenging, all I say is neither one of us have picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. But if you swing at the king, you best not miss.
Damn
because
right.
Patrick Mahomes and them Chiefs, you know if you want to win the Super Bowl, you got to go through them. All right? So that kind of wraps up our top 5 quarterbacks. Very similar in the list. A couple of guys in different orders, but I mean, it was similar. I got to tell you, I was shocked at the Aaron Rodgers 5 pick. I thought I was going to be in the north. So I was really surprised. I'm like, wow, at least we'll agree on one thing.
Yeah.
So we had Rodgers and we had Mahomes.
Yeah.
And then everything in between, same guys, just in a different order.
Different order.
Kind of like that, though. It means at least the great minds are thinking back. There was no... We'll get a run it back, though, on one of these next takes. Okay. A running back, I think, maybe we're going to have to...
We'll definitely disagree on running back.
But we'll be right back after this quick word from our sponsors. All right, welcome back, guys. So if you just are joining us now, we just got through top 5 quarterbacks, okay? We led off, too, with the MVP as well, along with some breaking stories. But now we're going to go into, this year, top 5 running backs, again, entering the season. Now, again... We've told you this is kind of an introduction into how we value/see the positions and the criteria that we look at. So we're going to go with the same order again. We're going to start off with you at number 5. Who you got as your 5th ranked running back coming into this season?
So now listen, you said something very, very important. You said this season. This season, right? So who's my top 5 for this season?
Sure.
So unlike quarterbacks, it's not about body of work.
So you're just going with the year.
It's what you're going to do for me this year, right now.
Got to throw off my list
right
again
now.
Here. All right.
So with that being said, he has not rushed for 1 yard yet in the NFL.
Wow.
And I'm going to put him 5 overall.
Coming over. Oh, he's
Bijan
got
Robinson.
Texas
I
guy.
think
I
he
knew it.
is the man. At the end of the season, you're going to have respect on his name, and he's going to be a top 5 running back in the NFL.
Wow.
Right now. Listen, part of the running back position, you need young legs, right? He's a 3-down back. He can catch, he can run, he can block. And so, listen,
he's a total package.
he's a total package.
He's
So
a total package.
now, because there's other guys that they've
Entering
had
also
one.
the 3rd-ranked rushing offense last year.
Exactly.
So,
The recipe is there.
I don't hate the pick.
The recipe is there. So Bijan Robinson, 5th running back overall for this 2023 season.
Okay. I don't hate it. For me, honestly, I'm gonna go with he's entering this season. You know, he really likes to put the emphasis on that. At the end of the day, I'm just gonna go with overall body of work of what I've seen from guys so far. And my number 5, despite all this kind of off-season drama and the running back position and is it the same and is the money there?
Where he's going.
But my number 5 is going to be, and I know he's not going to be playing the first couple of weeks, but it is Jonathan Taylor. Okay?
Whoa!
Jonathan Taylor is going to be my number 5 back. First of all, Jersey strong, Jersey proud. Now, I get it. Came off a very tough year last year, injuries. Now, still on pace for another 1,000-yard season until he got hurt. I believe he played in 8 or 9 total games last year. I was listening to it earlier. But the year before, to me, simply just undeniably the best running back in the NFL that year. Despite the injuries, I think that he comes back. I think he rebounds eventually this year. Whether it's in Indy or somewhere else, you can't simply deny the talent and upside of the man. Indy, with Steichen there now too as well. If he stays there, I love that combination of him and Richardson. It's going to kind of be like a pick your poison, and I think him and Richardson both end up working well off each other, that running game.
Okay.
I think the Colts are, I don't think they're a playoff team, but I think they're a surprise this year in terms of that ability to work the running back and quarterback off each other. So I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor, number 5.
Listen, I'll say this now. I don't think Jonathan Taylor finished the season with the Colts.
Wow.
I think they're going to dump him by the trade season. He might end up, I hate to say this, on a team like the Cowboys, right?
Okay.
Or the Dolphins, right? They showed
Okay.
a lot of interest in him, but I don't think Jonathan Taylor finishes the season as a Colt.
As a Colt.
Right?
All right.
I'll be honest, right now,
That asking price is high, though.
it is, but you know what? If you don't do it now, you're not going to pay him, so you're going to run it all back next year. But guess what? That's a lot of instability for a young team,
Fair.
right? And so that wouldn't be good football management, right? And
Okay.
so Jonathan Taylor didn't even make my top 7. So wow, you surprised me with that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Taylor.
Right.
Taylor.
Okay.
I like the youth. He's still young. I think he's got a ton of good years left in him. Jersey boy too, so it might be a little bit of like that Homer aspect, but I gotta give my man, because that year before was incredible. And again, he was still on pace for 1,000 last year until he got hurt.
Okay. So I just want to throw an honorable mention out there. Derrick Henry. Right?
Jacobs would be my 6.
He's your 6,
Jacobs
right?
would be
Derrick
my
Henry
6.
is my 6, right? He is getting a little older, but he is a true running back, a touchdown machine. So he was my number 6 guy.
Wow, Henry outside. Okay.
So, all right, this is going to surprise people, especially fantasy people, right? If this is purely based on fantasy, right, this guy would be much higher.
Okay.
Right? I got Austin Eckler at number 4 overall, right?
I can't be mad at it.
So my only thing is, right, seeing what the OC did with the Cowboys and Kellen Moore, right? He loves throwing the ball,
Okay.
right? So I think Eckler is going to have a little bit of a down rushing year,
Okay.
a little bit better on the receiving side. So overall, I have him coming in as my 4th best running back, more of a total package. Total yards of scrimmage. I think
Sure.
that's what look from him.
More of like a receiving type back and his full threat.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely. Right.
That's why he wasn't in mine. He'd be 7th for mine.
Okay.
I take the position very literally.
Literally.
Running back.
Okay, all right.
I like the catching as a side piece, and one of the guys I have in my top 5 is obviously a big time catching guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I like guys that can go in there bang between the tackles and get their yards that way too as well.
Okay.
That's the only reason I wouldn't have Eckler there. But I can't be mad at somebody taking Eckler, especially looking at the NFL today. Running backs now, a running back that can catch the ball in terms of fantasy, obviously,
He's much higher, right?
Killer.
It's much
right?
higher. 100%.
But even in the confines of just the actual NFL game, having a running back that can both run effectively and catch, you're going to always have a very good offense. I mean, look at the Packers with Jones, Eckler. I mean, we've seen these guys forever, going all the way back to LaDainian Tomlinson, Priest Holmes. Marshall Faulk, to me, was probably the first guy that I saw do it at that high of a level.
Okay.
And then it slowly started to kind of happen a little bit more often. And now you've got 4, 5, 6 backs a year that can kind of add that, punch that to their skill set. So I like it.
I would throw LaDainian Thomas out there like he
100%.
Right?
To me, I felt like he almost put it, now this is like a prerequisite skill your running backs have to have.
Yeah,
Okay?
LT would be my guy. But go ahead.
I loved LT. So we're at 4.
We're at
correct?
4.
We're at 4. Okay, I guess this is another homer pick technically too. Number 4, I'm going Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
The big play potential cannot be denied. And when you look at his 2 healthy years, so his rookie season, he absolutely tore it up. Okay, the year after, I believe he got hurt. Still tried to play most of the year.
Yeah, that was the problem.
But he was banged up. Yeah, they should have rested. Then the
rest.
year after, so he's coming in. This is going to be year 5 or 6 for him now.
This is year 5.
This is year 5. So then next year.
No, I apologize. This last season was year 5.
It was, okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's right, because it was the 5th year. He was the first round draft pick, so extension. Yep. Okay, so then it adds up. 3rd year, he's banged up.
Yep.
He's hurt. He misses most of the season. That 4th year comes back, but you could just see he was not back 100%. The knee was definitely, and they say that. Like, I think Adrian Peterson years ago kind of set a lot of people's expectations too high.
Way too high.
Guys, you are never going to see a guy tear all the ligaments in his knee, come back 6 months later, and win an NFL MVP. Like, we saw that one time. He is a once-in-a-generation type player. But seeing Saquon come back this year, especially with stacked boxes and teams knowing, like, the Giants can't throw the ball. Daniel Jones kind of really still out there with something to prove. I believe that Saquon Barkley accounted for almost 70% of the Giants' offense last year.
It was outrageous.
And
they wouldn't pay him $2 more million.
We can go. We can't go back on that right now, but yeah.
I won't bring it up again.
I hear you on that. Again, the productivity cannot be denied. But also, the injury history had to be looked at too as well. Okay. And the running back position is just taking that turn. But in terms of talent, big play potential, if there's one thing I could say about Saquon, and again, is this him? Is this the coaching? Is it a combo? Would still like to see them use him more effectively in the passing game, because I just think you got to find scheme, design routes, and concepts that get that guy into space with the ball. But man, you find that guy a lane, and I mean, it's just, it can be a 60 or 70 yard touchdown run in any given play with Saquon. I really feel of all the backs, he has the most big play potential. The question with him is just health, durability, and the one thing about Saquon, even last year, was, and I think this is why the Giants were weary on the contract, he did wear and slow down as the year progressed towards those latter parts of the year.
Listen, when you have to be Superman,
it's true,
and carry 70% of the offense so that your quarterback can make $40 million a year, right? You get worn out a little bit.
They do.
And you brought up, so listen, that leads right into my number 3 guy, which is Saquon Barkley. Right? He's my number 3 guy.
All right.
And so my thing is, the reason why I think he doesn't get enough action in the passing game, because Daniel Jones will just run and take off versus dumping it off to Saquon so he can, obviously, get those yak yards and whatnot. So, but I think, listen, I think the offense is going to change, right? And I think,
could be good for him, though. Because now the defense might have to concentrate on some other guys like Waller, Hyatt, Paris Campbell. All of a sudden, Saquon.
We got guys that can catch now, right?
Yes.
So, but here's the thing. I definitely think the offense is going to open up a lot.
Okay.
But here's the factor. Saquon is in another season where he's trying to get paid. Right? So with that type of pay, where he's looking for a contract, he's going to have another breakout year. Is he injury prone? I don't know, right? Yeah, I feel like he's a football player that.
It's durability. And I think it just almost comes with the running back position.
It could be, but you know what? He looked at it as he was a corporate guy, he was a company guy, so if he could play and help his team, he wanted to be there.
Sure.
Right? That's why he took an early contract, right, so that he could be there for all of training camp.
Sure.
But unfortunately, right, they use your history against you, right, because if you're not there or you put it on tape, that's what they count.
Sure.
Okay?
And again,
So-
it's making an investment, right? Like,
It is.
We
It
look
is.
at it sometimes as just athletes going out and playing, but the guys up top are looking at it from like, I'm investing a lot of money into you. So it's kind of like looking at stocks, for example. Do you want the stock that is really high and boom, but also very volatile if the market drops out? Or do you just want that slow and steady, consistent kind of growth?
First of all, Saquon is extremely explosive, but when you're running 60 to 70% of the offense, right,
You gotta wear it out.
you're not a boom and bust player, right?
Fair.
Right? So like, he's a workhorse, right?
Well,
So
the
you gotta
bust aspect is
respect
if he
him.
were to get hurt, just
Yes,
because
no,
you're
I
using
know,
so much,
I
for
know.
sure.
But listen, respect on that guy's name. Saquon. I think he's gonna have another phenomenal season.
Okay.
And either
I'm with you.
Either pay him or let him walk. Because as much as I want to see him be a Giant, he deserves to, the true respect for what he's done.
I'll never fault a player for going out there and getting his money.
Yeah.
If he's going to go out and get his money, it's a violent game. Saquon could have something happen and then he can't play anymore.
And that's the other thing
so
too,
we'll get
right?
the money.
Well, like, let the market speak for itself, right?
Sure.
If he's a free agent, you don't think he's going to get that contract?
I'm sure a team would probably. Saquon after this year will be, I think, 27.
27 years
So,
old.
I mean-
so he's not over the hill yet.
No, they usually say with a running back, like 28, 29 is when you want to start looking. I think that's why Cook maybe didn't get re-signed.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when a guy's still good, a guy's still good.
Yeah,
you know?
talk to me right now. He can give you 3 good seasons,
Yeah.
so you pay him for 2.5, and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Listen, maybe he bets on himself and it works out. But we'll see.
Okay.
So my number 3, player of a similar ilk, but I would say that of the running and pass catching variety, this guy is the guy. We're going with CMC, Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey.
Your number 3 guy.
That's my number 3. Now, Christian McCaffrey. Remember, I did say before I was a body of work, that's probably one of the reasons why Taylor snuck in for me.
Okay.
Just because for such a short career, outside of the injury last year, he's been pretty close to otherworldly. And I don't think anybody would have had a problem if we said top 5, if not top 3 the year before. But Christian McCaffrey, just look at the career as a whole. Let's take the 3-year sample size out because for him it's a little unfortunate because you go into the Carolina situation where just like Saquon with the Giants last year, that's what Christian McCaffrey was for the Panthers. When he played, fantastic numbers. Could run the ball, could catch the ball, but he's getting hurt because you're relying all of your offense is being put into this one guy. And he's a little bit undersized, but I think right now, and you saw it last year, him in San Francisco, oof, if you get the quarterback situation figured out, that is
He's got the right coach.
scary,
He
man.
definitely has the right coach.
It
He's
is
got the right
scary.
offensive line.
There's weapons around him too. Yeah, I mean they got that monster out of tackle going out on all those lead blocks for him as well.
Oh, yeah, Trent Williams.
Trent
right?
Williams,
Trent
yeah.
Williams.
So I love CMC. I think when you're just talking about pure completeness, running between the tackles, catching the ball, big play potential, he can kind of do it all. If I were gonna put anything against him, and this is something I can mark Saquon for too as well. He's not the greatest in pass pro, which is a part of the position. It is a part of the position that you have to respect. But I can't deny like the talent everywhere else. I believe NFL MVP. Was he an NFL MVP or runner up?
Probably a runner-up. I
Okay,
don't
I
remember
think he
him
was a
being
runner-up
MVP.
at least.
It's
I know
hard
he
for
was
a
in the
running
jokes.
back to get.
It is, especially
an
now.
MVP.
Seems like a
I think
it's almost
Derrick
like the
Henry
Heisman
almost went
too
for
in college.
2,000 yards
Yep.
and 15 touchdowns, and he didn't get it. So
He might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think McCaffrey, if he was an MVP, I think he was a runner-up,
yeah.
and got a ton of votes. But I almost feel like the NFL MVP has turned into the Heisman in college. It's basically a quarterback award. It's a quarterback league. So yeah, I'm going with Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
That's my
All
guy
right.
at number 3.
So again, that's a lead into my number 2 guy.
Okay.
Right, which is CMC.
All
Right.
right.
He's touching on all the great points. Right. The only reason why I had to knock him off of number 1 was because of health. He can do a variety of things. Again,
Fair.
if it's a fantasy conversation, he's going to be number 1 in passing and catching. But I do worry, right, that. Can he hold up for a full season?
He's a little older than Saquon.
He's a little
so,
older.
yeah.
I think he's 29,
I
right?
think 28 or 29.
28 going on
29,
29. And so that's a little bit of my worry. Now, the good thing about Kyle Shanahan's office that he's in, right? They have Elijah Mitchell, really good backup.
Sure.
So I'm sure they're going to
Still don't understand why the
monitor
Jets just
workload.
let him go.
Yeah,
I didn't get that.
you know, it's got to be a GM decision, right?
Okay.
But I like that combo. I think they're really gonna split usage. They got Debo as well.
Oh, I
right?
just confused. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Elijah Moore.
Oh,
You said-
Elijah Moore.
Yeah,
No,
my
no,
bad.
no,
My
no,
bad.
no.
I got names
Yeah,
confused.
yeah.
My bad.
I won't lie. I was thinking like, was it?
Yeah, no, I was
Elijah?
confused for a
You
second.
had
I heard
me-
Elijah,
You had me
yeah.
for a second. I believed you though.
Totally
I believed you though, right?
It's been a long week. First day of school.
Listen, I was going to do some research afterwards and bring that back to you. But no, I like that tag team. I think they're going to do really well. But he needs to stay healthy for the season.
Okay.
Be there for the playoff
Sure.
push. And then he could be the bell cow in the playoffs.
Yeah,
but
you don't need to run them 20. Like you don't need to run them 30 times during the regular season.
I
More
think you
than
get
enough
30
weapons.
touches.
Yes.
Right. You know,
Yep.
20 and 10, something like that.
And get
But,
out of bounds when you need to, man.
exactly.
We need you for the stretch run.
Yes,
Yeah.
So, but CMC, my number 2 guy. Listen, that San Francisco offense, they're going to do some amazing things. Really like that a lot. And so, CMC, number 2.
Okay. Well, number 2 for me is a guy that you had further back. I keep waiting for the fall, and it just hasn't happened yet. He's 29 this year. I think he's going to turn 30 by the end of the season. But Derek Power Horse Henry. That man, I continue to wait for it, as I alluded to, and it just doesn't happen. Now, the last 2 seasons, there's definitely been a slowdown at the latter part of the season.
Very true.
But the man scores touchdowns at a phenomenal rate. I think I read a stat or heard a stat earlier today. In the last 5 seasons, I think he's had double-digit touchdowns. The
Yep.
one year he had 20, I think it was, or something like that. The
North
man-
of 15, definitely.
yeah, so I think he had close to 20. He's had an over 2,000-yard season. Derrick Henry is actually a guy, and this, I cannot take credit for this. I heard this on the radio today. But Derrick Henry, with the way the running back position is moving and looking, he might be the last Hall of Fame running back that we have coming through a class. Because some of these guys are just not going to be able to have the longevity or play long enough to put up the numbers. Until Henry has the drop-off. Like, let's say Henry plays for 2 more years at this level. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no-brainer. Fair?
Fair, very fair.
And the Titans. I have never seen a team build or create like the foundation or their identity more behind one player. Like when you think about the Titans, you think about physical, smash mouth, in your face, punch you in the mouth football. And that's everything that Derrick Henry is as a running back. Now, he hasn't been the greatest receiver in his career, but even last year,
He
got a little
increased
bit more involved
Yeah.
in the passing
He
game.
definitely did.
And I'm just like, guys, run like a little delayed screens and boom out. Get 2 guys in front of him. You get that guy in space, people don't want to tackle him.
No, not at all.
So, Derrick Henry is my number 2. Roll Tide, best Alabama running back I have ever seen.
Listen, I can't be mad at it.
He's a monster. He's a monster.
My only knock, all right, he is getting older.
Sure.
That offensive line isn't as good.
Sure.
Right? And, you know, they just don't have a quarterback. Right?
Yeah.
They had a quarterback.
It's all on him.
They're always
Really
the
is.
bridesmaid, right?
Yep.
Like never the bride, right?
Yep.
So
Good defense, though.
good defense, great
Mixes
coaching.
so well together.
Very much so. A lot of respect for that team.
Shout out Mike Vrabel, too.
Very
Absolutely
much so.
love you.
Very-
Great coach.
Yeah.
I love the
that's
way he
a
still coaches.
Right, that's a football guy.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I can't argue. I just couldn't get him in my top 10. Where I disagree with you, you said he was the last one. I think Bijan is the next one. Right? So remember,
Could be.
you heard it here first.
Listen, I won't. I just have to see Bijan. Like, let's see where Bijan is 4 years from now. You know? And let's see the wear and tear, how that adds up. The running back position is just really funny. It's funny, I was talking with my friends the other day, and we're talking about, like, different backs, you know, like who was good back in the day. And a name that came up was Terrell Davis. And my friend,
yeah.
one of my all-time favorite players, my friend was like, how long was Terrell Davis at his peak? And I was like, I can actually remember this. It was about 3 or 4 years.
was
He
like 4
had
years, yeah.
he had about 4 phenomenal seasons, but it only lasted 7. And
2
3 of
Super
them,
Bowls?
2 Super Bowls, absolutely.
Super
A league MVP back when running backs could win
Could win
it.
it.
I think he has both, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I think TD has a league MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. And I think him and Elway swapped. Like,
Okay.
one had won the 1 year, one had the other. I know they split the Super Bowl MVP. And I'm pretty sure Terrell Davis had a league MVP the 1 year. Might have been their second Super Bowl.
Yeah.
but only 7 or 8, I think, total seasons altogether. You go through some of the greatest, for every back, like for every Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders, or there's a Curtis Enos somewhere out there that played maybe 2 to 3 years and then just couldn't last over this field. Now, I think Bijan, I'm with you. I think he's going to be phenomenal this year. Great offense. But let's see over the course of time if the body can hold up. Can he put together an 8 to 10 year career? If he can do that, then he's got a shot. But it's just how many of these guys are going to be doing this at that level anymore, looking at the way the position's going.
Yeah, and I just think he's built for it.
Sure.
I think he's built for it. So, listen.
Listen, Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go.
Texas, they produce running backs, without a doubt.
Ricky Williams, Earl Campbell. I mean, the list goes on, man. Texas can produce some backs.
All right, so with that, all right, we're at number 1.
We're at 1.
Right?
We're at
so
1.
You talk about a true hard-nosed running back
I think we're in this
that
together.
remains healthy.
Yep.
Nick Chubb. Right?
We agree.
Is that your number 1?
We agree.
You people forget about him because he's in Cleveland, but from a running back standpoint, now he doesn't catch as much, right? We might see an increase in that this year, but true running back, power, speed. Doesn't get hurt.
Phenomenal blitz and pass protection.
Kareem Hunt was his backup. He's gone now,
Yeah.
so I think he's going to get more carries.
And Hunt was good, and he barely played because Chubb was so good.
And exactly.
Yeah.
He still put up 500-600
Sure.
yards, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? With Deshaun Watson hopefully moving back to form, great offensive line. I think they're going to be in the red zone more.
Yeah.
And things are going to open up a little bit more for him. Again, they got Moore from the Jets, right, as a wide receiver. They got Amari Cooper. And then they got Njoku, right, at tight end.
Sure.
So I think they have the
They got
offensive weapon so that he's not going to see as many 8-man boxes. And so I think he's going to have a great year. Why is he your number 1?
He's my number 1. I'll give you a stat. He's been playing 5 years now. He's been starting running back. 5 years. In that entire 5-year span, never averaged below 5 yards a carry. That, to me, is a phenomenal stat. So essentially what you're saying is give the ball to Nick Chubb 2 times and you got a first down. That's essentially what that statistic is saying. That is phenomenal. Okay, that's simply phenomenal. And again,
with crappy quarterbacks.
Right? So again, I think you allude to a great point too as well. With a guy like Deshaun now, if Deshaun can return back to, I'm not even going to say 80. Let's say 70% of what he was as a player.
That would be a top 10 quarterback.
That would be a top 10 quarterback, number 1. I totally agree with you. And all of a sudden, the AFC North just looks like a bloodbath because those teams are just going to beat each other up, man.
Absolutely.
And it's nice to have a running back like Nick Chubb come December. It's nice. I mean, you want to pound that rock and just put it on people. I just think Chubb is, again, I would like to see him, like you alluded to, get a little bit more involved in the passing game. But just as a back, I mean, he's durable. He's tough. Reads well between the tackles. Big guy. Got some speed, though, too, with that size. It's like he's not quite Derrick Henry, but he's bigger than some of those other guys sometimes get beat up.
He's not a round bowling ball.
Yeah.
He's got the build.
He's built.
He's
a powerful man.
Squatting like 650 pounds.
Yeah, with that bamboo bar.
Yeah.
Oh, man, maniac.
That was for the gram, though. You know that, right? Like, absolutely, right? Come on.
All these guys are doing it for the gram now, man. I saw Jalen Hurts squatting with the bamboo bar, and I'm like, these guys are insane.
He should be a
now.
running back. I mean,
he's a running back
that
that
just
just learned how to play right now. He's basically a running back that just learned how to throw the ball.
Exactly. We agree with number 1, and definitely phenomenal. We both agree there.
Sorry, Josh Jacobs. I did not mean to leave you off my list. It's just,
you got to do it again.
I want to see it again.
Run it back.
And again, yes, run it back. And again, I'm an East Coast guy, so maybe I have a little bit of that bias. There's definitely some Jersey love, no doubt, in there. Josh Jacobs, if you do it again, you easily get in there. Some other honorable mentions. You had mentioned Eckler. Another guy that I just feel like does not get the credit he deserves as running back, Aaron Jones. I really like Aaron Jones. Great at running, great at catching. Maybe there's a slight mark on his durability, but for the most part, he's been pretty healthy for the type of build that he has.
Yeah. He's just getting up there in age. I think he's going to be 30 in a year. Or
I had to trade him in our Dynasty League just because I figured, you know what?
Yeah, I didn't take that trade.
Now or never. Yeah, you wouldn't take it. I offered this guy a king's ransom for Bijan Robinson. He just would not do it. He's a Bijan guy. You know what? I can't
now
even
he
hate
knows
him for
why.
that.
Now he knows
I can't
why.
even hate on him for that because Texas. All right. That's my squad from back in the day. Hook 'em horns. I mean, we're going back to 05, Rose Bowl, Texas versus USC. Can I just say here really
Probably the
quick?
greatest football game ever.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that before we go to break. I tell people all the time, that is the greatest football game I have ever watched.
Absolutely.
Ever watched.
I can't disagree.
That game was fantastic.
On the money.
Watching it live, like it had everything you could ever want in a game.
Agreed.
And it was like Trojans came out early. You thought they were going to roll them. All of a sudden, Texas comes back. They just couldn't stop Vince Young.
Yeah,
They couldn't stop
stop
my
him.
boy Vince Young.
Couldn't stop him.
So-
Probably best football game ever. Definitely the best championship game ever.
I watched the Giants win 2 Super Bowls. That was the most fun game to watch.
Yes,
That
yes.
game was just awesome.
Yes,
'Cause
definitely.
when you
And
don't
one of the
have-
highest rated too, like of all sports.
That game was it was incredible. And if you just go back to that game and look at the level of NFL talent on the field.
Yeah.
And USC, of course, Leinart, Bush, Lendale White, Maluga, Brian Cushing, Clay Matthews, I mean that alone. But then you go to the Texas side, and all of a sudden you got some boys over
some
there
boys
too,
over there.
man. Lima Swede, Dave Thomas, who played tight end, Michael Huff played safety for the
Michael
Raiders
Huff,
in the
yes,
league. I mean,
yes.
that team, those teams had some ballers, and I
Definitely.
think they had at least, I think was actually a running back on that team. You remember Jamal Charles?
Yeah.
I think I'm almost
was the
positive
backup.
Jamal. Yes, he was the backup. He wasn't even starting that year, but Jamal Charles played
And I'm
on
sure,
that
like,
team.
obviously, we're forgetting about the offensive line, defensive line. Those guys
There were
had
guys.
some talent
There were
on there
guys.
too. You know what I mean?
Arakpo might have been a freshman.
Ooh,
I don't even know if he was
yeah,
starting either.
Yeah.
Derek
He ended up with
Johnson.
Washington Redskins, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And then Derek Johnson, another one, played for the Chiefs also. So I mean,
Linebacker,
it's
yeah.
the U of Texas, man. It's just it's. I hope they get back. I really do. My 2 squads from back in the day: Texas and Auburn. I'm hoping for them
Real
to come
quick,
back.
what I would love to see, right? If it doesn't work out for Texas this year, go get Deion. Go get Deion Sanders.
Oh, you just
in
got the whole
Texas.
other Deion, man. Now, really quick, we get this in before the break. Is Deion Sanders making an argument right now for the greatest sports career ever? Think about
If he
it.
wins a national championship,
That's it.
Yes.
To me, that's it.
Yes, agreed.
He wins a national title as a coach. Look at him. He was a World Series baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
He won multiple Super Bowls for the Cowboys. Unanimously considered the greatest cornerback of all time. Greatest defensive
argue
back
it.
probably of all time. Was a good baseball player too.
Yeah.
Could steal bases with the best of them. Now he's into coaching. There's something about, I heard this on another show the other day, and it just hit with me so much, being that I've coached for a number of years. Deion is a guy that can get people, players, high-level moneymakers, investors to follow him. And that's such a
Agreed.
powerful tool.
Yes, he is a leader of men, and what I'll say about Deion Sanders, right? What I've seen that he brings out of his players is that he believes in them,
Yeah.
and he instills a level of confidence that
Yeah.
raises their level. And listen, you're a coach, right? For certain kids, you got to believe in them
100%.
to bring out their best.
100%.
And I think that's exactly what Deion is. He's challenging them to get them to the higher level. And Coach Prime, man, he continues this, he might be the greatest.
Yeah, man, and look at his son too, Shador Sanders, really balling out. that first
510
game.
yards.
Great opening weekend.
Gotta do
of
it again.
college. Yes,
Gotta
gotta
do it again.
But a great opening weekend of college
Definitely.
ball. That's something that we'll have to look at in our offseason too. The upcoming college prospects who should be looking at the draft. But we got all sorts of content. Can't wait to get to it with you all. Next, we come back with top 5 wide receivers. So we're back, guys. Final segment. We're pulling an audible on you, though, really quick, okay? Instead of running it back, we were going to do the top 5 wide receivers.
We'll
but we're
bring
a
you
little
that next
bit-
week?
We're going to bring you back next week, okay? We're a little bit pressed for time. We want to get to picks and predictions for the opening games this week. And where better to start than the Thursday night game, the dropping of the banner, Kansas City Chiefs, returning Super Bowl champs. They open up their pathway to defending their Super Bowl. Hopefully for them, I assume they want to run it back. Obviously.
Absolutely.
Win 2 in a row. I'll go with your pick first. Who you got?
I'm going with the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yes, Travis Kelce is hyperextended knee. I do think he's going to play. If he doesn't play, I still think he's going to win. High scoring game. At the end of the day, it's Patrick Mahomes versus Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? And so the defense got a little bit better.
Sure. Goff not
They-
the same quarterback too when he plays away versus home. So.
Exactly. And listen, it's first game of the season. The Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, they do not lose in the month of September. Okay? They do not
Fair.
lose in the month of September.
Fair.
So everyone is off that bandwagon.
Sure.
But guess what? It's Patrick Mahomes versus Jared Goff, and I'm going to put my money every single time on Patrick Mahomes. So they're gonna win, not by much, right? I think it's gonna be a 4-point win.
Okay.
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 So I'm anticipating 34-30.
34-30. Okay.
34-30.
I like that pick. I can't be mad at it. I have the Chiefs too as well.
Okay.
For a few different reasons. One, I think the Chiefs kind of they integrate some of their new pieces right away. Don't be surprised for a decent game out of Isaiah Pacheco too as well.
Okay.
Now, that's partially wishful thinking for me, but also I do think
Like fantasy selfish? Is that
no,
what you said?
fantasy selfish
Fantasy
for
selfish?
sure. Fantasy
Okay,
selfish,
okay,
but I
okay.
also think if you look at the game plan, especially with Kelsey being a little bit banged up, Pacheco really showed that he's like a tough little runner.
Yeah.
Last year, it's a little element of surprise. I wouldn't be surprised too if they maybe get him a little bit more involved in the passing game this year. But the other thing is, I alluded to this before. Jared Goff, not quite the same quarterback on the road as he is at home, and he's also not very good when he's under pressure. Well, what are the Chiefs very good at? They're good at getting pressure. 55 sacks last year, third, I believe, in the entire NFL. Now, that could come with a caveat, because if Chris Jones isn't playing, maybe they don't have quite the same pass rush, but I think the Chiefs will be so jacked up, riled up. Their fans will be crazy. I got the Chiefs taking this game 38-31.
Ooh,
I think it's a high-scoring game. I think the Chiefs jump on them early. I think the Lions are a little bit shell-shocked. The Lions come back, but it's a little bit too little.
So you
too
have
late.
the Lions, you have the Chiefs covering, right? Outright.
I got them winning by a touchdown.
Winning by a touchdown.
38-31.
I have the Chiefs winning, but I don't think they're going to cover right now. 4.5 point spread. So I think it's going to be a close game. 4-point margin.
Okay.
Whether it's 34-30 or 31-27, I think it's going to be in that ballpark.
All right, I like it.
Right,
Let's go to game number
What do you
2
got as
of
the
the
next
week.
game?
Carolina versus Atlanta. Little division game started off.
Listen, Carolina, what's the spread on it?
You get me the spread. You're the
All
betting
right,
guy.
I get you the spread on
I would
that
have to think
game.
Atlanta's
Right,
favored in that
Atlanta's
game.
favored, minus
Okay.
3.5. So listen, Carolina's got a really good defense. Okay,
They do. They do.
They have some experience in the backfield with Miles Sanders.
Sure.
Okay, good coach in Frank Wright. However, at
Watch
the end
out
of
for
the
the
day,
young wide receiver Jonathan Mingo too.
Okay.
Bryce Young's
okay.
looking for a number 1 target.
You brought
so.
up an important factor. Young. Bryce
Yes.
Young. He's very young.
He is.
So you know what?
So is
Versus-
Desmond Ritter though.
But you know what? That 1 year experience matters.
Yeah,
Right.
and he's got a lot to lean on behind him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, the weapons.
Yeah.
Us now, offensive line are basically even, but with those weapons, I like Atlanta to win and win significantly the first game.
Okay.
Significantly being by a touchdown.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be a lower scoring game. I think Carolina is going to struggle to score 17 points. So look for a 24 to 17 or 27 to a 17 game.
Interesting. So we agree on this one too as well.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Falcons. I just think they're going to have slightly more talent, a little bit more firepower overall. I believe they'll be able to basically take control of time of possession with their run game, which I have to imagine if it was third last year, throwing in that beast and Bijan Robinson back there, I think it stays pat, if not improves. It might be the best rushing attack when all is said and done. But I think their ability to control the clock, the more weapons they have, I agree with you. I do think it's probably on the lower scoring side. I say Falcons 24. I say Panthers 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, this is real, right? I got the games on one leg.
Oh, I see
right?
it, man. It's
and
serious.
I'm drafting on the
The
other.
two phones.
Right?
The two
I'm drafting
phones are
on. So
out.
listen, guys. Right. This is live. This is real. It's the Wednesday night before football.
It was
So
a crazy
all the
week,
final
man.
fantasy
I
drafts are
started my
happening
day
right
job
now.
again this week.
So
Time is
listen,
crazy.
right? So I'll let you guys know who I draft. I got the 12th overall pick in the Dynasty League. So I'll let you know. Listen, I'll ask you guys who you think I should have drafted. I'll let you guys know who's available.
Okay.
All right, what do you got as the next game?
I got Cincinnati at Cleveland. Wow, do we open up with a banger for the black and blue division.
Okay.
Now, I have a feeling we're going to disagree on this one.
Okay.
I got Houday coming out, first game of the year. We need to make a statement. I get it. Burrow missed most of the preseason, but you know what? He's got experience on that because he missed the preseason last year too as well.
Okay.
So he knows how to deal with it. He understands big game. I think the Bengals know who they are. I think they know what they're about. I think you are going to get a physical football game though. I do. I'm going it is a close game with the Bengals pulling it out 27-24.
So do you know that the Bengals actually struggled to beat Cleveland?
I do.
Let alone beat them in Cleveland?
I do.
Right?
I do.
So, you know what?
Trends were meant to be broken.
Ooh.
Trends were meant to be broken.
Now, so the
They
spread,
struggled with the
and
divisional
the spread
opponent in the game last
reflects
year.
it.
Sure.
You know, -2.5.
Sure.
Right? So even, you know, Vegas is telling you it's going to be a close game. But
Definitely
you know
close.
what? I can't disagree.
Oh, you came with me.
Right? You know, Jamar Chase.
I thought there was going to be some disagreement there. Okay.
Right? Whoa! To throw it out there, first couple picks were made. Justin Jefferson went number 1. Bijan went number 2.
Bijan's going high in
Right?
a lot of drafts
Patrick
right now.
Mahomes number 3. CMC number 4. Right? So Dynasty League. So happening fast.
Yeah, Bijan's going in a lot of leagues and very high.
Hey, top 5 running back.
I like
So
him.
with that, listen, I'm going with the Bengals. Bengals are going to cover. I think it is going to be a close game. It's going to be a dogfight. There's going to be a little bit of scoring, right? They're going to be running an offense that I think Deshaun Watson can handle now that he'll prefer. So I think it's going to be 27-24.
Oh, wow, look at this guy.
Right?
Taking my
All
pick right there.
All right, or 28-24. Give
That's
it in,
okay.
in that ballpark.
It's all good.
Definitely.
So, our next game, and I'm going to let you lead off with this one. We've got Jacksonville at Indianapolis.
Listen, this one is, let's see what the spread is. Hold on. Right? So it's a 5-point spread
For Jacksonville.
for Jacksonville.
Okay.
I think Jacksonville is going to beat them down.
Okay.
Beat them down.
Beat them down.
Beat
huh?
them down.
They come out and
aggressively.
want to make a statement.
Make a statement. The Colts aren't ready. Bad management. You know, new coach, right? New quarterback. Quarterback has only had 13 starts. Experience matters. So I think Jacksonville come out with Calvin Ridley. He's going to have an awesome year. Beat him down. Score is going to be aggressive. I'm talking about 28-10.
Wow. Okay. Listen, Jacksonville is my pick in that division. I think they're a team on the rise. I think they're a team that you could be talking about for the Super Bowl in 1 to 2 years. But sometimes you read your own press clippings. And sometimes that week 1 game is that scare/surprise game. And this is my upset pick. I'm going to take the Colts by way of upset to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jaguars a little bit too into themselves right now. They need that week 1 loss to kind of recalibrate, get excited, get themselves refocused. But I think the Colts, with Shane Steichen, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, pairing him up with my man Anthony Richardson, I think that sometimes the hardest thing to prepare for is the unknown. You said those 13 starts, right? Well, that's really a lack of game tape overall on them, and you've got no NFL tape on them. I'm going Colts, pull off the upset, and I'm going to go 23-20. The Colts pull it out.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I got to go with the surprise every once in a while, you know?
To give you a quick update, right? So I'm on the clock now. Jamar Chase went, CeeDee Lamb went, Jalen Hurts went,
Okay.
Garrett Wilson went,
Okay.
Amon-Ra St. Brown went, Tyreek Hill went, Chris Olave
What
went.
pick are you?
I'm number 12. I got 12 and
Ooh.
13. I got 30 seconds. I got A.J. Brown. I got Jalen Waddle.
You have a
I got
wraparound right
Breece
now.
Hall. I got a wraparound. I got Eckler. So I got a lot going on. It is a lot of pressure.
I'd go back and receiver.
But you know what?
I would go back and
Brown.
receiver.
I'm going to go A.J. Brown.
That's a solid pick right there.
I went A.J. Brown. So now I can go quarterback. I got Josh Allen sitting there.
Okay. What are the running backs available?
You know, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall,
I wouldn't take
Eckler.
I'd take Allen.
You take
I
Allen?
would take Allen.
Would you take Allen over Joe Burrow?
In terms of fantasy, I'd probably take Allen.
Take Allen?
Yeah.
Ooh. If that's the case, I should have went Diggs and paired them together.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I listen. That's a strategy that I love. But at the end of the day, you got to go with your team, man. You got to go with your gut.
All right, so let me ask you. I'm thinking I got Jalen Waddle sitting there.
Okay.
Right? He's the next best wide receiver. Or I could pick up Diggs, who's about 28, 29 years old.
And you just picked up Brown. I mean, if you picked up Diggs right now, you can sit there and your next pick, you can go a completely different route position-wise. You can kind of solidify yourself at receiver.
I think so.
Yeah, it's not a bad. When you're at 12, you kind of just got to take what, the best things that are there.
All right, I'm going with Stephon Diggs. All right, go ahead. What do we got?
We've got Tampa Bay at Minnesota.
Tampa Bay at Minnesota. So we
It's
have
a hard game to pick.
A little bit,
Yeah.
right? I think
It's one of those could go either way games. I do feel that
so
way.
we have Baker Mayfield starting.
We've got Baker Mayfield starting.
Okay. Kirk Cousin.
Yeah.
Right, I
A
watched
frustrated
Quarterback on
Mike Evans,
Netflix.
too.
I watched Quarterback on Netflix.
Quarterback
I
on
got
Netflix
even more
was
respect for
Quarterback
Kirk
on Netflix
Cousins
was
now.
great.
Good dude, good family.
Yep.
So little sneaky thing about the Minnesota Vikings. They brought in defensive linebacker coach from the Steelers, Brian
Flores. Oh, okay.
Right, so I think the defense is going to be better.
Is he running the defense?
He's running the defense
He's running the
now.
defense.
He's the defensive
Defense should be pretty
coordinator.
good then.
So with that being the case, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. Let's see what that spread is. That spread is Minnesota -6. So I'm going to give the Tampa Bay a little bit of respect.
Okay.
Because they have a really good defense. All right, so I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit of a close game. Tampa Bay covers. We're looking at 24-20 Minnesota Vikings.
So I agree with you. I do think it's a close game, but I do think Minnesota ends up pulling away with it. My thing with Tampa is if you struggled as much as you did last year with Brady at the helm, I gotta think that you're gonna struggle again with Baker. I do think the Bucs are gonna be a little better than people think, but I gotta go with at least the returning playoff team right now, early in the season. I just think they probably have more pieces solidified. You've also got an angry Mike Evans over in Tampa right now. He's a little upset with his contract.
Yep.
So how does that play out into things? Tampa Bay is getting a little bit older. I like Minnesota as well, although I think that getting rid of Dalvin Cook, I still think it's a little bit. Again, we talked about this earlier.
Dalvin's
Maybe
a
it's just
yard
simply
guy.
the age, but I think Dalvin Cook is a top 10 running back easily still right now. But I'll go Minnesota, and I'll go 20. I'll say 27-20 Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our next game, Tennessee at New Orleans. This is another. So many of these games are kind of just go either way type games.
Yep. Derek Carr starting for the first time.
Derek Carr starting for the first time. New team, new offense. New Orleans, while aging, still does have a very good defense. Man, it's a tough game to call. I guess if I had to, if I'm picking either side, man, and I'm really waffling, I guess, you know what? I'm going to have to take the Saints by way of their defense. I think they just have a little bit more setup on the offensive side. If Carr, you got to assume that Carr's going to be okay. He's been working with this team for, a little while now over the preseason. You've got Alvin Kamara. Even though he's not playing in this game, you've got Jamal Williams. You've got the rookie, Kendra Miller. You've got Chris Olave. I think with an improved quarterback, the Saints were still competitive in a lot of games this year. So I'll take the Saints. I think that's a low-scoring game.
Okay.
I'll go a weird score. I'll go Saints 19, Titans 16.
Okay. All right. Disagree there.
Okay.
I think there's going to be some more points there.
Okay.
Big, DeAndre Hopkins fan.
I like Hopkins. I wasn't thinking about that. Okay.
All right. And Derrick Henry, but the Saints do have a good defense. A little stat last year they gave up. They were 7th in scoring. Right.
Sure.
So to your point, right? I think they're going to be good again. But I think the offensive weapons are there for the Saints. Derek
So
Carr
you
doesn't
still
have
think
a
the
ton
Saints are
of-
going to win? You just think it's going to be a higher scoring game?
game.
Okay.
Right. So I'm thinking
Titans
it's gonna
didn't have
be-
the greatest defense last year. They're good against the run, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more of a separate score. So I'm thinking 27-20 Saints.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. Now, this is a game I'm interested to get your pick on. San Francisco 49ers open up at the Steel Curtain Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I like that game.
I like that game
I like
a lot.
that game a lot.
Right?
That's
You
a
might be
physical
surprised by my
game.
pick. Exactly.
You might be surprised by mine, but then maybe we're leaning the same way.
Listen, Mike Tomlin, right? He doesn't lose a lot of games.
Doesn't.
He's never had a losing record.
And the
Kenny
49ers,
Pickett-
even as good as they've been the last couple of years, notoriously slow starters. Yeah.
Slow starters.
Yeah.
So I am on the Steelers camp, right? That spread is
I am as well.
-2.5. So Steelers are home dog. That's a tough place
Sure,
to play.
it is.
Right? It's September. It should be warm. But you know what? They're right there near the water, so it might get chilly.
Could.
You know what? It's an afternoon game. And it's 1
1
o'clock
p.m.,
game.
yep,
1
yep.
o'clock game. So listen, I like Kenny Pickett's, right? George Pickens is a beast. I think everyone's going to really learn about him this season. And then we have, Deontay Johnson.
Yep.
We have Najee Harris.
Yep.
Now, don't get me wrong, 49ers.
Jalen Warren, too. Remember that
Right,
name.
the backup running back. So I am on the Steelers. I think it's going to be a little bit of a dogfight game. I don't think Joey Bosa is going to be ready yet, or Nick Bosa, is going to be ready yet because he just signed his contract.
Yeah.
Right. So
Like he'll play, but he's not going to be.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So with that, and now remember this: T.J. Watt is back.
Man's a
and
monster.
when he was on the team, that was a top 7 defense.
Yep.
Right, and they were a bottom 7.
They were like
defense
1-7 without him, and like 8-2 with him, or there's some crazy.
So
statistic.
he's back. He's healthy.
Yep.
I'm on the Steelers. A little bit of a close game, 24-20, Pittsburgh.
I like it, and I like Pittsburgh too as well. I think Kenny Pickett takes a huge step forward. I think you're going to start to see P&P. Pickett and Pickens. I think that's going to be the big connection this year.
I like it.
The big
Love it.
rise between two guys. And I think that if you're going to go with the Niners, I think the Steelers are well built to do it. They got a tough defense, okay, an improving offensive line. They've got a 1-2 punch at running back, but they've got the most important thing. If you want to go and beat the Niners, I think a guy like Pickens can go and win matchups on the outside one-on-one, and I think that's what he's going to be asked to do, and I think he's going to do it. I agree with you. I think this is a grinded-out, close game. I'm going to go slightly higher than your score, but similar margin. I'll go Steelers 29, and I'll go Niners 25. It's one of those weird defensive games where it's like somehow the points are like it gets
like
odd,
a safety
odd
or something
yeah,
like that. Right?
Something,
Missed field goals or
something happens.
Okay.
Yeah, the defenses are involved, but I'll take Steelers.
Okay.
I like it.
What do we got next?
I think this is kind of an easy one. Arizona at Washington.
Yeah, listen. Our Washington is gonna come out. They got something to prove.
Yeah.
And so I think
Arizona's starting Dobbins, I think, at quarterback.
I don't even know who they're starting at quarterback. Right? They're tanking.
It's Dobbins
Everybody
or some
knows,
5th round pick. Yeah.
Right. So I'm on the Commanders. The Commanders are gonna win. It'll probably be a score like 24-10. 24.
I tend to agree with you.
24-9. It's going to be in that ballpark.
I don't think it's a competitive game. I think the Commanders are in command, for the entire game. I just don't see the Cardinals really. Again, they got Hollywood Brown, they got James Conner, but this game is so quarterback driven, and I think the Commanders actually have an underrated defense. I think the defense is pretty good. The defensive line up front, they're solid. I'm hearing a lot of nice things about this kid Sam Howell, the quarterback for the Commanders. Apparently,
he's a
young guy that
He's got
he's
game.
a young guy that can play.
Yeah.
So I like Terry McLaurin. I think Jahan Dotson is a young up and coming player too as well.
2 good running backs.
2 good running backs. I'll take Commanders. I'll take them 27-13.
Okay.
I'll try to give the Cardinals a little bit of respect, but yeah, I think they win, and they win pretty going away.
Okay.
We'll go. Okay, I'm sorry. Houston at Baltimore. Houston at Baltimore. I think this is another one. I don't think Houston is going to be as bad as some people are this year, but I don't think they're beating Baltimore. I think Baltimore, as you pointed out earlier, I think Baltimore's out to prove something this year. Mm-hmm. They want to show they belong. They want to show that they're going to be playing in big games this year. Whether they make it to the AFC Championship or not, to me, a lot of that is predicated on health. But I think offensively, this is the best set of weapons that Lamar Jackson's ever had around him. Andrews, obviously, one of the best tight ends in the game. Their running game, when he's healthy, is always elite. I think the defense had a down year this year, but it's Baltimore. They'll rebound. They'll be competitive. I say they beat Houston 27-16.
27. 16 is your favorite number.
Yeah, I'm going with the weird numbers.
Listen, Baltimore's got something to prove. I think the Texans they're looking up, but they're not ready yet. So they might hang in for a little while defensively, but then Baltimore's going to open up. I'm thinking 31-14 is going to be the score.
You got to beat them up.
Beating them up. This is not the team you want to start off. What's it called?
Especially when you're a young Houston Texans team.
Exactly. So I think they're going to come. I think they're going to be aggressive, and I think they're going to.
Curious to see how CJ Stroud looks, but
put a whooping on them. Yeah,
I tend to agree.
They'll cover the spread. I think that's a 10-point spread right now. So even Vegas, agrees that it's going to be a double-digit lead.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Let's go to the NFC North. That's an interesting game. Green Bay at Chicago.
That's actually a great game.
It is.
Great game.
It is, because it's like the tale of two new teams. Green Bay is in a new chapter now. We get to see Jordan Love. And now the Bears, we obviously saw tremendous upside from Fields. Well, you got DJ Moore and a number one receiver. You got the kid from Pittsburgh, who I always forget his name.
Claypool?
Yes.
Claypool. Yep.
Claypool. You've got Khalil Herbert. You've got their young rookie Rashawn Johnson, who backed up Bijan Robinson. You also have Deontay Foreman, who did really well for the Panthers last year when their starter got hurt. So they got some weapons around him right now. I think they might have drafted some offensive linemen in the later rounds. Defense has still been kind of a work in progress, especially considering they traded their best defensive player last year to Baltimore, the linebacker. Tough game to call on the other side. I mean, you have the Packers. What is Jordan Love? I think you're going to see a very protection-heavy scheme to Jordan Love. A lot of quick rollouts, dump-off passes to guys like Jones. Does he have that build-up with the receivers? Can he go deep to Christian Watson? It's a tough game to call. I think I'm going to call Chicago. I think Chicago just has... I think Fields is the X factor in that game. I think the Green Bay will probably have a tough time, even though Green Bay does have historically a pretty good defense, and their defense finished, I believe, in the top 10, at least against the... You know what? They were good against the pass last year. They were not good against the run. They were. I think they were 6th against the pass. They were in the bottom half of the league, though, against the run. I think Chicago is going to be able to run the ball between the threat of Fields and then obviously their new running backs. I'll take Chicago. I think it's a fairly close game because both the two teams are kind of figuring out their new identities. But I will take Chicago. I'll take Chicago 20 to 13.
20 to 13.
20 to 13. I think it's on the lower scoring side.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. I am drafting right now, so I'm going to throw out, I think I'm going to go quarterback. I've been talking about this guy a lot. I'm going to drop a little...
you have two receivers right now?
2 receivers. I have a shot. I could take Lamar Jackson right now.
Take
in
it.
the 3rd round.
I do it.
Right?
Do it,
so
man.
I'm going to draft Lamar Jackson.
When Lamar... If Lamar plays, it's never a bad pick because the man he's going to score points.
And then I got 3 wide receivers. So let me ask you, right? Should I go Deebo Samuel? Right? Should I go Quentin Johnson from the Chargers? Or I could get Christian Watson, DJ Moore, or George Pickens. What are you thinking?
Oh, wow. See, here's the thing. I think Pickens might still be there for you. I don't know if people are as high on him maybe as I am this year. Man, hard not to...
Got 60
Based on
seconds.
everything you said, I would probably say Debo.
Debo?
I would
Love
say
that.
Debo.
Love that.
Yep.
Love that. All right, so with that being the case, I am all over the Bears. I think Justin Fields is going to have a great year. I think there's a lot of pressure on Jordan Love. I think he's actually going to surprise. I think he's going to do well. But I do think, I think the Bears are just a little bit more hungrier. I'm wondering the type of coach that Matt LaFleur is because he's always had Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to see if he can really call it again.
Yeah.
He's going to prove it. The defensive coaching has been suspect. They got a lot of great defensive players on that team. First rounders, definitely, 7 of them. But I do think the Bears are hungry. I think they're ready. And I think Justin Fields is going to outperform. And he's going to take a Jalen Hurts leap.
I like it.
I
like it.
And so it's a pick'em game. So I'm on the Bears at home, starting 1-0 in a pretty good game. Again, I'm thinking 28-20.
Okay. We get another division rival right backing up this one with Las Vegas Raiders going to Denver. Tough game to call again to me. You got a new quarterback over in Vegas with Jimmy Garoppolo. Does he make it through the season? The one thing about Jimmy is if he plays, I will say this, for a lot of the ridicule he gets, he does win games. He does have the ability to go and win games. Can he press the ball down the field? Can he get it to Devontae Adams? I'm going to take Denver in this game simply because they're at home. I think they have the better defense of the two teams. And I'm really curious to see this Peyton-led offense with Russell Wilson. I don't think Russ can be any worse than he was last year. I know you think he's cooked. We'll see. Only time will tell. But I got to believe if the Broncos at any point are going to show signs of life, it's at least in this game against a very dysfunctional Vegas team, especially with the head coach that I mentioned last week. I'll take Denver 20. I'll say 26-19. Denver wins.
All right, 26-19. I'm on Denver. Sean Payton is going to have their team ready. I think Russ will look fine in this game. He's got a lot of pressure on them. Raiders don't have a great secondary, so to get to the point, I have Denver 24-17.
Like it. Philly at New England. I almost feel like this
Great
one
game.
doesn't even need. You know what? A lot of people will probably just sit there and look at it right away and say Philly just goes in, but they're going to New England.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing you know is New England is going to go and play defense. They're going to play tough. They're going to compete. I just think at the end of the day, this is a game about weapons, and I think Philly just has more than New England does. I think it's a closer game than people think, but I'll take Philly edging out New England in a lower scoring game. I'm going to say 24-17.
24-17. I got it 24-21. Philadelphia.
Okay. So
And
even closer.
quarterback matters.
Okay.
Jalen
It
Hurts
does.
and the Eagles pull it out in a pretty good game, and so I got the Eagles.
Okay.
So let's have a little rapid fire on a couple of these
Sure.
games. So
Chargers,
what do you got?
Miami.
Chargers, Miami.
Chargers.
You're on the Chargers.
They're
Now,
in-
where-
they're in LA.
They're in LA.
They're in LA.
Ooh, high scoring game.
High scoring game,
I'm
I'll
on
take the Chargers.
You know what? Let's go with the Chargers.
All right. Rams and the Seahawks. At
Seahawks.
Seattle. I'll take Seahawks all day. The Rams are not very good. They're not
I don't think they
talented.
want to win, and Matthew Stafford might be hurt.
I hope he makes it for a couple of weeks. I need him for fantasy. But yeah, the Seahawks are just the more talented team. I don't see LA going into Seattle and beating them.
Okay.
Not with 12 man. This is the game, man. Dallas at New York. This is my second upset pick. I got the Giants taking out everybody's Super Bowl team. All these experts I hear around television. Nope. Giants are going to come out, punch him in the mouth, surprise him. You are going to see Kayvon Flash Thibodeau take that year 2 jump. All right. I think Dak is going to make mistakes in this game. I do think it's a competitive game. By no means do I think the Giants are blowing them out. I think it's actually going to be a fairly high-scoring game, too, as well. A little bit of back and forth. But I got the Giants taking this game 31-28.
Ooh, love that score. We're on the
yeah.
same page. Giants upset 27-24 Giants. Home game, primetime game. Giants show up. Daniel Jones with his weapons.
And the final game to close out the week is Buffalo at the Jets.
Where are you gonna go?
Oh, man.
Where are you gonna go? You're a Josh Allen guy. What are you gonna do?
Whew, this is tough. So I have Buffalo still making it to the playoffs, but just because you start 0-1 doesn't mean you can't make the playoffs, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to start 0-1. Jets fans are going to be raring to go. They are going to have a fantastic scheme to offset this kind of weak offensive line, quick passing game, and I think the Jets take it in another high-scoring game. Well, not quite as high-scoring as the last one. I'll go 27-24 Jets.
27. Listen, it's 9/11. All right, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's New York City.
First game with a new team.
First game. Von Miller is out. There's the key. Jets win. Right, 24-17. Right, Jets win. Start the season 1-0. And Aaron Rodgers, he's the hero of the Gotham City. And so we'll run it back with you next week with the following games.
Well, so I mean, again, we will cover this week's games.
Yep.
We'll also pick next week's games on episode 3 when we
Run it back.